Hey guys, welcome back into the video. So, ex-Sony president Jack Tretton, he actually talked to Axios kind of about his career throughout the year, especially at Sony, when he was there from the 1990s all the way to 2014. And he kind of talked about the infamous roast Sony did to Microsoft at E3 2013. So, let's actually watch that video first, then we'll talk about what he said.
This is how you share your games on PS4. Thanks.
PlayStation.
Yeah. Anyway, what Jack actually said was that he actually didn't say like necessarily they were taking a shot at Microsoft's expense. Let's see what he actually has to say. If you look back at the previous generation between the Xbox One and PS4, perhaps the most damaging for Microsoft was when Sony unveiled the used game instructional video, because at the time they kind of suggested that the Xbox One wouldn't be able to use games, and that it was always originally going to be an always online console, that wouldn't allow you to use games like I said before. But it's kind of funny that nowadays like the digital distribution has completely taken over. So Microsoft was kind of thinking ahead at the time. They kind of saw the future, but it was too early. It was way, way too early. The effects of the launch is still being felt to this day, and the video was a killer blow at the time. Although former PlayStation boss Jack Tretton has stated it wasn't necessarily meant to be done. Microsoft expense. I have a lot of friends at Microsoft now and had a lot of friends then, and I wasn't necessarily looking to do at their expense. I was just feeling really good about it, which is kind of funny because Microsoft's reaction to the whole thing was, I think Aaron Greenberg described an example of stuff getting stuff really ugly, and when you really think about it, Don Matrick eventually left Microsoft after all that, and history was made pretty much after all that. The rest is history. Yeah, I doubt that. Here's my thing. Like, it was very convenient that Sony released that video when the backlash was so huge toward Microsoft at the time. They knew what they were doing. Sony knew exactly what they were doing by releasing that video. They knew exactly what they were doing. And it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. Like, Microsoft deserved that roasting because of what they were trying to do. No used games, like, come on now. That was that's been a thing ever since gaming was a thing, Especially gaming consoles. I'm like what the hell were they thinking? And Sony was right. Sony was right to do that, and it paid off hugely, as there was such a huge gap in sales between the PS4 and Xbox One. I mean, it was great. It's crazy just how things are so different now. Where Microsoft is way more pro-consumer, so it's wild, man. Especially considering that nowadays, Sony has done some anti-consumer moves. The whole initially trying to go back on free upgrades for Horizon Forbidden West, only to actually do it when they got called out for it. Among other things, that other people have beaten death on that. But yeah, it's really crazy just how different the gaming industry is nowadays. It's wild, man. So anyway, so I kind of doubt it. Maybe in his own mind that he felt that way, but it was pretty convenient that Sony made that video and released it when the backlash was so apparent, toward Microsoft. It was brilliant timing, and it paid off hugely for them, as the PlayStation 4 absolutely dominated the 8th generation, and the effects of that are still ongoing. So, because people constantly still bring it up to this day. It was such a huge thing. It was massive, and it's still going to be talked about for so many years now, because it was huge. So, and that's an understatement to say the least. So, yeah, I think I'm sure maybe he doesn't. Maybe he fully believes that it wasn't deliberate, but I think it was, just because of the timing of it all. that's all really there is to it. It was really deliberate, and Sony was brilliant for doing that. It was a killer blow. Which is kind of funny, like I mentioned, because Microsoft and Nintendo eventually got their quote-unquote payback on Sony when the whole crossplay thing was going down back in 2018. You know, when Fortnite blew up. So that's a whole nother discussion, though. But hey, Sony did what was considered a genius move, and it brilliantly paid off. And I gotta give them a lot of credit for that because it was genius, absolutely genius and cutthroat. So. Anyway, well, that's kind of my own take on this. I just thought it was really interesting that he thinks that it wasn't necessarily meant to be at their expense, but I think the opposite. I definitely think it was. That's why I used the, press X to doubt me, because I doubted that Sony didn't mean to do that when they knew what they were doing. But anyway, well, that's all I gotta say on this video. So what do you think of Jack's comments? Do you fully believe him? Or do you really think that Sony did it on purpose? Me? I think they did it on purpose. They knew what they were doing, and it paid off hugely for them. So, let me know. So, if you like this video, hit that like button, comment down below, and consider subscribing to the channel so you do not miss any more content. And I will see you guys in the next video. Later.